Well, I mean, we've given evidence before about exactly this and presented evidence about people who've had jobs in specific areas and then gone on to work with companies who benefit from government contracts. I mean, there's absolutely loads of it. And I would say the same thing is, what do you think these companies are paying the money for? You think they're chucking it away? I mean, and when politicians declare their interests, I mean, why do they think these businesses are paying them this money? Why did Ian Patterson think he was being given all this money? What, because he's so brilliant? I mean, again, I think the public is very sick of being taken for fools at the moment on all sorts of level, and it's very sick of being taken for fools on this level. If you're taking money from a company, what are they getting out of it? Which is why the earlier answers from both of my colleagues was, at least print the contract, tell us what you're being employed for, and let's have a look at the minutes of the board meeting. What did you say in this specific area? Say you're employed, as Solomon always says, to sell guns or bombs or weapons, and then you have a board meeting. If you won't tell us what you said in the meeting, don't take the job. Okay. Not too extreme, Richard?
No, maybe not extreme enough. Well, let me just bring in Sir Bernard.
First of all,
and then
Mrs. Hislop, thank you very much for the evidence you gave to my committee, the Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee, back in 2017, because I think we produced one of the best reports we ever produced.
Yes, but we're on this committee now.
And it took a very long time for the government to respond to it. But just to pick up one thing you said, why do you think so many MPs did not see that Mr. Patterson was in breach of the code? Because I think it was a bit more complicated than that.
No, I don't think it was at all. And I'm sure your chairman has views on this. I mean, the investigation was incredibly thorough. He was given every opportunity to respond. It was absolutely clear he'd broken all the rules. The public were quite clear that he'd taken the money and he'd lobbied. And the MPs were whipped into this ridiculous bill.
Okay, but why do you think so many MPs didn't think he had broken the rules?
Well, do you want me to go into why they obey the party whip?
No.
I mean, you're MPs. You could explain to us.
I'm independent enough. I hardly ever obey the party whip. I vote with my brain. But for some reason, our system lacks authority over a large number of MPs. They don't respect the system. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, again, let's break down the MPs who have second jobs. One of you two.
Well, I mean, to answer your question, I think that the rules give them such leeway. The rules and the implementation of them give them such leeway. Owen Patterson could spend years thinking that he wasn't doing anything wrong, partly because the rules were too vague on lobbying, and secondly because he could convince himself that what he was doing wasn't problematic, that the company he was working for was a jolly good company, and that, what's not to like and so on. And eventually, we found out exactly what he was doing. The issue is, I think, that we don't find out what a lot of other MPs are doing.
Okay, well,
and I'm sure we'll move on to questions about transparency and so on, but that's the issue.
I mean, we have lots of rules. Mr. Patterson was in breach of the rules. And let's just take his case. Unfortunately, he didn't understand he was in breach of the rules. Wouldn't that be more of a sort of cultural and attitude problem, rather than that rules can't on themselves on their own fix? What do we need in addition to rules?
Well,
Because
we
it
need the
seems
rules to be tougher, and you need to police them more toughly.
Okay, but you can...
That's not a very good adverb. More stringently.
Well, you can police rules tougher, and you have tougher rules, but lots of people will carry on gaming rules. If they think the rules are the only issue, and they don't understand why the rules exist, what the principles are behind the rules, you're not going to change people's attitudes.
Well, that's just depressing, the idea that politicians are so innately corrupt that they won't understand public anger at what they're doing, and none of them will obey the rules.
Well, it happens in public service, it happens in financial
Yeah, we're talking
services.
about MPs here.
It happens in journalism, it happens in lots of professions.
Yeah, but fortunately this committee is not looking into us. We're having a look at you.
It's not an attack on you. I'm just pointing out there are lots of... actually, to change, to improve the attitude towards the 7 principles in public life, we require far more than rules. Wouldn't you agree with that? far more
But you want
just
a
rules.
moral shift in the quality of people who become MPs. I can't do much about that.
Well, how about having more conversation in the workplace about why we have rules, what the principles mean, and how we should be setting the best example?
Why do you have to explain to a new MP why he shouldn't lobby for a company that's taking government contracts? Why isn't that blatantly obvious?
Same reason that you have to sit people in the financial services sector down to courses and exams, why the Solicitors Regulation Authority encourages firms of solicitors to have discussions about ethics. It's because it's a fundamental fact of human nature that we are born savages and we have to be trained to be civilised human beings.
Can we leave the ethics and go on to the practicalities of what you can do?
So isn't that, I thought this was all about ethics. I thought that we wanted to make this...
No, I thought you wanted a philosophical discussion about the fallen human condition, which again, you say you've got to vote in an hour.
I think I will drop this line of inquiry, Chair, because I'm not getting very far with it.
No, I think